I realized my parents were next to my room according to the sound I heard. They must have heard me screaming, but the monster blocked the entrance. He pulled the door shut, blocking it in its same setting, deforming the wood. My parents started to punch on the other side, and I didn't know what to do. It seemed like it did not look like a dream. It was perfectly clear it was more real than those nightmares of darkness and torture. My heart was beating so fast that I started to feel pain from it. I felt the sweat on my forehead and the doll trembling in my hands, which I couldn't keep still. The monster stood at the entrance, not moving from there. In the half-light, I could see his evil smirk as he was waiting for my reaction. I unbuttoned Daisy's dress, who looked imprisoned under the tons of wax, and I started to dig, trying to set her free. I dug and I dug and I dug while her moans became more intense, until I felt something wet under my nails. I looked at my hands covered in blood. Her skin must have been mixed with the wax, and the digging I did was not helping her at all. That thing that supposedly to be Daisy was suffering. Her wheezes were blood-curdling, and her expression was still that of an impassive doll. I trembled with horror, and I had to repress a retch, and suddenly I felt my arms being grabbed. "My splendid Maggie, you've ruined your doll," exclaimed the monster. His whitish eyes sparkled with pale green light. "You even threw Mr. Bunny on the floor, but I forgive you. You must return to the place where you belong, by my side." "Who the hell are you?" I shook like a mad, trying to set myself free, while my parents were trying to break down the door. The expression on the creature was filled with astonishment. "I am Jason the toymaker," he exclaimed. "Your faithful friend, the only one who could trust." At hearing that name, something moved in my memories. That were buried deep in the corners of my mind over all those years. I remember the day we met for the first time, the toys that seemed to bloom from his hands. I remembered his friendly smile that gradually turned into a sharp and sadistic smirk. That day, he showed me with his exasperation. He expected me to give him more attention, because in his arrogance he believed he deserved everything from me. When he grew tired of me, then he showed what he really was. He eliminated all the people that I surrounded in my life. He kidnapped my friends for turning them into his, quote, toy dolls, unquote, and I was broadly stupid to always admire them. Rushing home was useless because the blue door reappears at the center of the living room. He masqueraded my parents. He massacred my parents. He took his revenge by taking them away from me, and always got to me, too. I managed escaping from his clutches, running as much as I could away from him. As far as I ran, the smell of blood and that of the decomposed flesh lingered in the air. It was you! I was possessed by anger, and I started hitting him. You killed them, you! Kept hitting him, but Jason was smiling as if it was tickling him. He didn't have any remorse for ruining my life. He was a possessive beast who concealed himself from my childish eyes behind an angel's face. He was able to give me everything and at the same time to torment everything around me. Terminate everything around me. He was fiendish. Of course it was me, my splendid creature. Mr. Bunny even showed it to you. He smiled with self-evident truth. I made for you many toys, and I can't wait to introduce you. Miranda, but you can call her Mandy if you like. Suddenly, something hit his head, and it shattered into pieces. My father had a wooden club. He aimed a blow at the monster's head, but the one that broke was the wood. Jason's smiles turned into an infuriated scowl, and his grip increased on my wrist. He turned around, and when my father saw Jason's face, he opened his eyes wide, and my mother covered her mouth, concealed her screams. My father didn't waste time trying to set me free. The club broke in half with that one blow to the toy maker's face, allowed him to let go of me. Together with my parents, I ran out from the room. We quickly rushed to the entrance. My father opened the door, but instead of the garden path in front of us, there was Jason's workshop. Maggie, I give you one last chance, Jason said calmly, walking down the stairs. After which I'll dye the walls with the blood of all the people who surrounded you, you bastard. To the kitchen, quick! We ran over to the kitchen, hearing that monster's laugh following us. Once we were in, we could still see through the windows the toy maker shop, little factory. Now I was desperately sure I wasn't a nightmare. The terror overwhelmed me, and Daisy's blood on my fingers were more than real than anything else I have ever felt. I turned around. Where's Dad? My mother grabbed the knife and got closer to me, holding me tightly in her arms. Stephen! With her trembling voice, she called him, but he sighed. sighed with relief when we saw him coming in the kitchen. Hurry up before my mother's voice blocked. Just like me, she stared at Dad's pale face. He walked slowly with a fixed look at the space and his eyes wide open. Suddenly, he fell on the floor, and behind him appeared Jason's frozen smile. The toymaker looked at me with crazed eyes. Dad's battery decreased. It should be charged. Jason revealed a giant mechanical key and drove it into my father's back, already stained with blood. He turned it with force and twisting my father's backbone. At the second turn, I shouted, covering my ears to block out the sound of the breaking bones, but I couldn't help taking my eyes off of my father's body, contorting itself like a snake. Go away! Be gone! Leave my child alone! My mother held me tight at her chest, and despite her terror, the terror and the tears she shed, her face resembled one of those lionesses shielding her cub. Silence, woman! It's not you who I want to talk to, growled the furious toymaker, and in the end he pointed his white claws at me. Come with me, my sweet child. Come with me, my sweet friend. We will have fun together. We will be back at laughing like we did then.